Hello everybody, good afternoon. How are you all doing? Goodness me, it's a busy session. Over 500 people. How are you? Say hello in the chat. Be lovely to hear from you. I'll just do my introductions. I'm sure that a lot of you already seen me before. My name's Heather. I'm from CareerMap. We're running National University Week and this is day 2. This afternoon's session is designed to provide you with all of the tools that you need to help you find the right university. And it's going to be Claire and Grace from the student room who I'm joined by this afternoon to help run that. So there's over 100 institutions to choose from and it can be very difficult to know even where to start. So we're all here today to hear tips from students and the experts who can really help you find that ideal university and perfect match for you. So before I hand over to the team and start the presentation, hello, here we are, Grace and Claire. Waves. Hello.
Hi.
Oh, look at the chat's coming. Johnny, Oliver, Danny, hello, Amber, Charmaine, Ella, Josh, Holly, goodness me. Hello, everybody.
Hiya, nice to see you all.
Isn't it just? So, so anybody that hasn't been here before, a lot of you already found the chat box, but any questions that you've got, please ask them in the chat box as we go along, and then we will put the questions to Claire and Grace towards the end of the session for a Q&A. The session is being recorded, so don't worry about missing out on anything. It will be sent to you via email along with some important links that are provided by the student room as well. So it'll all be there for you, and there's actually a QR code, isn't there, Claire, on the questions slide where you can actually go and find out some more information from your phone here and now. So without any further ado, I'm going to disappear. I'm going to start the presentation, and I'll join you all for the Q&A.
Welcome to our simple guide to choosing the right university for you. I'm Mari, and together with some incredible students, we're going to talk you through how to get all the help and support you need to feel confident taking your next steps in your journey towards uni. If you don't already know us, at the Student Room, we're here to help you find answers to all your biggest questions. You'll discover a wealth of trusted knowledge, authentic advice, and genuine support from your peers and our experts. We're trusted by millions of students, and we're the UK's largest and best loved online student community. We're here to help you make the right decisions about your learning, career and life. Today we'll also be talking a little bit about our sister website, the Uni Guide, where you can get in-depth information about different universities and courses you're considering and compare them to find the best option for you. Students are at the heart of everything we do at the Student Room, so I want to introduce you to 3 students who'll be sharing their experiences and advice with you today.
Hi, my name's Halima. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm in Year 13.
Hi guys, my name is Noel and I'm a Year 13 student.
Hiya, it's lovely to talk to you today. My name is Lansby, but most people call me Tippy just because it's easy to pronounce. My pronouns are she, her, but I'm pretty much okay with anything, and I am in Year 12.
Research is a really important part of the process if you're applying to university, but sometimes it can be difficult to know where to start when looking at different universities and courses. Here's what Nawal, Halima and Tippy recommend.
The information that I found most helpful whilst researching uni was mainly through Ucas directly, the Student Room and the Uni Guide.
The information that I found most useful when applying for university was actually found on each university's own website. Every university lists all of the courses that they offer and what each course entails, and this is a great way to gather information about the courses that you're thinking about studying. Another great way to gain information about the course is speaking to current students who are studying the course that you're thinking about pursuing. Speaking to students allows you to learn about the culture and whether or not this course is really best suited for you.
So I'm actually currently looking this present moment in time into different unis I might want to apply for. And there's so much information out there and so many different unis and different courses and different pathways into life. So obviously this can be a really daunting experience, but in terms of information that I think has helped me the best when looking into unis, the student room has been super helpful because it's filled with different students who have gone to uni or are going to uni and what they used. Speaking to the people in your life is also really useful, especially those who've decided to go to uni and have already gone through the process you're going through. And also just looking at different unis' websites because they have so much information about the campus and the course and the surrounding area.
You might have noticed there's a real mixture of different research tactics, and that's for good reason. So just like your history teacher always taught you, it's all about a strong combination of sources. University websites and tools on the Uni Guide and Ucas can help you to build a really good understanding of facts about the universities and courses you're considering. You can learn about different universities, different courses, syllabuses, and facilities at those different institutions. Now, we've added a couple of extra tips here about attending university events if you can. Ucas fairs can give you a really good sense of what options are available for you outside of college, and they might be able to help kind of spark some ideas or some questions that you might have. Once you've narrowed down your options, open days are a great way to get a sense of each university and to ask all the questions that you have. They can give you a really good sense of what your real life could be like, and real life open days are a great way to get a sense of that vibe of the campus and potentially the town that you could be living in. But lots of universities are still running virtual open days as well, so if you can't make it to a real life open day, those virtual ones are a great opportunity to get that same information about those universities. Then, like Nawal and Tippy said, speaking to students who are currently studying at a university you're considering can really help to give you an honest and unfiltered sense of what it's really like at that university. It's also a great idea to bounce ideas off someone who knows you really well, like a friend or a family member, and they can help you to evaluate the things that you might enjoy at different universities or courses, or perhaps not enjoy so much.
When making decisions about university, I found it really helpful to speak to my family, friends and teachers. Reaching out to your support network allows them to give you valuable advice on what they believe is best for you. Whilst your own research is incredibly important, reaching out to your network allows you to really establish whether or not the university you're thinking about attending or applying to is really best suited to you and your personality. After all, your family, friends and teachers know you best and they want what's best for you. As a result, the support from your network proves invaluable when making big decisions about university.
My decisions about uni have been mainly influenced by family and friends who have talked about their own experiences, and that's really helped me.
Being in year 13, Halima and Nawal are a little further along in their decision-making journey, and you can hear how important their support network has been throughout their application process. Tippy, on the other hand, is in year 12, and the things influencing her decisions right now are still pretty broad.
There's lots of different factors that come into play when influencing your choices for uni. Some for me may be my A-level courses, so for example I'm really enjoying my politics A-level course, so I might pursue this at university. A little bit more of a boring one is just financial difficulties, so obviously some areas are more expensive to live in, some areas are cheaper to live in. I try not to let this influence too much because as much as I want to be financially stable, money is meant to be spent, and I just want to have the happiest experience that I possibly can at uni. And another thing is career aspirations, so I used to want to be a lawyer, and now I'm thinking I might want to be a human rights activist more, and that obviously influences the decisions in which courses you want to take, which areas you want to go into at university.
Now, we know this whole process can be a bit complicated, and if you ever find things challenging, don't worry, you're not alone. Our year 13s are pretty familiar with the sorts of challenges that can crop up.
I think one of the biggest challenges that students have to overcome when applying to university are being able to get the right impression about university, because there's lots of resources like league tables and newspapers, and each have a different opinion about each university, so decision making is hard.
So this is where that mixture of research really comes into play. Make sure you get lots of different perspectives on a university or a course.
I think knowing when to start is a huge challenge. Although students typically apply for university in year 13, we need to start preparing our university applications well in advance in reality. For example, as part of the university application, we need to prepare a personal statement. Personal statements are a way to shine and stand out from the crowd, and in this, many universities typically expect you to demonstrate a long-term commitment and passion for the degree that you've chosen to pursue at a higher level.
It's a great point Noelle makes about personal statements and ensuring that you're building experiences to talk about when the time comes. On the student room, we have loads of advice and tools for personal statements. You can actually find a library of hundreds of real personal statements that you can read and get inspiration from. You can also find a personal statement builder tool, which will help you put all those different elements of your personal statement together. And we also have a free personal statement review service where you can get personalized feedback on your personal statement. In fact, there's a huge amount of support you can access completely online when it comes to making decisions about university. One of the biggest benefits of the student room being such a big online community for so many young people is that it enables them to connect with current university students.
Hearing directly from students already at the university I'm considering is helpful because I feel that I can trust current students to a greater extent as they have the most recent and relevant experience.
Hearing from students at the university that I'm considering applying to is particularly helpful because it really allows you to put in perspective what life would be like if you attended that university. Hearing students' personal experiences at the university allows you to really understand and delve deeper into the culture at the specific university. Furthermore, it allows you to really figure out whether or not the university and its culture is best suited for you both academically and socially. That being said, it's important to have more than one source as everyone is biased based on their own personal experiences, so make sure you have a few different opinions.
So hearing from different students who went to unis that I'm thinking of applying to really helps because it kind of helps you to pick and choose through unis and exclude some choices and prioritise other choices. So for example, my big sister went to a uni I was thinking of looking at and she absolutely loved it, and then my big brother also went to a uni that I was thinking of going to and he hated it. So it kind of helps to exclude some options and just a quicker method of looking at the huge amount of unis there are. And then I have some friends in their first or second year of unis I was looking at, and they told me about the vibe of the teachers, the vibe of the campus, the course, the students, the surrounding area, the housing. So it's really good to have some first-hand experience come your way.
But applying to university isn't just about making a decision about where to apply. It's also waiting for offers, completing your exams, getting your results, planning the move to university, and heaps more. The support that you build around you can play a really important role in ensuring that you feel confident and excited when you do head off to university.
The support that I get from the student room makes me feel so much more prepared to make future decisions and definitely a lot less stressed.
I feel like there's a lot of support that I can get from the student room, which makes me feel really comfortable with what lies ahead. For example, on the student room, I'm able to connect with different people who have applied for the same courses as me, or perhaps have simply applied for the same university as me. And as a result, I'm able to make friends with people in my courses or in my university, potentially, before I've even stepped foot in university. And as a result, this allows me to feel less nervous and more comfortable. In addition to this, the student room has a big community feel where everyone supports each other, and this is just incredibly useful.
So I think one of the main problems with our generation is that we expect of ourselves and of each other to know 100% the right thing to do 100% of the time. And I'll be my first person to put my hand up and say that 99% of the time I do not have a clue. So I really think that the student room is an empathetic and non-judgmental space, and it really makes me feel like it's a community, and it's one of the only spaces that we can go to as a young person where you're allowed to offer advice and get advice and just recognise that we're all human beings and we all need a little helping hand sometimes, and just be helpful and kind to one another. To get each other through the difficult experiences we face.
A feature I use the most on the student room is a wide variety of forums for lots of different topics. I love how forums on TSR differ to the average online forum. On a TSR forum you can receive advice and support from other students, from teachers, and even someone directly from university.
A feature I use the most on the student room during my application process and now is the chat function. The ability to speak to different students who are also going through the same thing as me was really helpful in understanding that I was not alone in the process and the different emotions that I felt. Furthermore, the different personal statement examples available on the student room was really useful in understanding how to construct my own personal statement.
While it might feel like there's a lot to think about right now, don't forget to stop and take a moment to think about the things you're excited about and looking forward to when it comes to going to university. Here's what Nawal, Halima and Tippy are excited about when they head to uni.
When I start university, I'm most looking forward to a different level of academic study and being able to only study what interests me.
What I'm most looking forward to about university is meeting new people in a new environment and making friends. I'm looking forward to joining new societies and exploring all of my interests and my passions.
So there is so many things to be excited about when you go to uni. So the question of the thing I'm most excited about when entering uni is a pretty difficult one, because obviously there's so many features to university. It completely changes your life, and as scary as this can be, it can also be super motivating and inspiring and something to really look forward to. But the thing I'm most looking forward to when going to uni will probably be the people I meet. I mean, people always say that some of the friends you make at university end up being your lifelong friends, and the adventures that you go on with them. And I'm really looking forward to how these people are going to change me as a person and help me develop and grow as a human being and completely change the person that I will be when I come out of university because of the people I meet.
We promised we'd give you a simple guide to choosing the right university for you. So here it is. First, let's talk about research. You need to gather a strong mixture of sources. Gather facts about the universities you're interested in using websites like the Uni Guide and Ucas. Next, head to Ucas fairs and open days to get a sense of what your life at university could really look like. Then talk to people. Ask the thoughts of your friends or family who know you well, and complement that with speaking directly to current university students on the student room. Preparation is also super important. Thinking about your personal statement early can put you in a much more sturdy position later on. Also, surround yourself with a support network you can lean on throughout the application process. That might be your friends, your family, or maybe fellow students on the student room. Then you'll have a group of people who can help you to make your final decision. And finally, stay true to yourself and the things you want to achieve in life. Take on board all the information and advice you can, and then take a moment to stop and reflect on your own values and ambitions. After all, this is your path and your future, so trust yourself.
Someone looking to apply to university, I would tell you to not overthink it, because it's really not that bad.
My message to students hoping to go to university would be to make sure that you are utilising the resources and the network that you have around you. Make sure that you're open to new opportunities to develop your skills and that you're actively seeking these opportunities to develop. And while it's amazing to plan ahead, something to be aware of is that life doesn't always go the way we plan, but that's okay. So make sure that when things don't go as you plan, that you simply pick yourself up and try again.
So my message of support for people hoping to go to uni would just to be able to remain your true authentic self. I think there's a certain pressure when you go to uni to appeal to your classmates, to appeal to the lecturers, or just to appeal to the vibe of the university. But I think when you're going to uni, you really have to have the confidence to know that you deserve to be going there, to know your worth, to know who you are as a human being, who you want to become as a human being, and that you don't need to change yourself to appeal to a community of people. And simply just know that you're going to university for a reason, you deserve to be going to university, and that you're enough no matter what anybody else in your life tries to tell you.
Hello, that was amazing. Right then, let me just get, I've got a slide here for you with a QR code to find any information that you want. Bear with. There we go. Right then, the questions have been coming through thick and fast. So I think I will just continue with them without kind of any hesitation, really. And I will start asking them in the order that they were asked. I think that's the fairest way to do it. So if we kick off with a question which was from Cameron. Cameron said, are there any quizzes you can recommend to help find a course for me?
So there's loads of information and advice out there. It can actually be a bit overwhelming to even just find that information and advice to get going. But we have got a really helpful guide that's on the uni guide. So I'm just going to pop that in the chat now. So this guide is really useful as like if you want to go to university but you don't know what to study, like where you can even start. So I know that's quite a lot of people were saying, well, you know, how do we even choose that course? This guide will kind of give you a little bit more of an understanding on like different options that you can follow. So like deciding on kind of the general subject area as the first instance, you know, what generally are you interested in? Did you enjoy any particular subjects, anything like that? Did you achieve any good grades in any subjects that you might want to explore further? And then if you're not actually sure, I don't enjoy anything, you can go, well, maybe I should look at something completely new, something completely different. And there's more information in there about, you know, things to consider when choosing that. It can also be different when you're kind of looking at specifics of courses as well, and like you know what it is that you're looking to do when they're, you know, you think, oh, I might be interested in doing history, maybe you've narrowed it down to that, but there's, you know, thousands of different history courses, and there's some information and guidance within that guide saying about, you know, how to look at the content of the course and how that course is taught, any kind of extras that they offer, like work experience, placement years, anything like that, to help you narrow down your choices. So yeah, there's loads of information to consider, but hopefully this guide will give you a good kind of first kick-off point.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rose. And that leads me to the next question, actually, and I'm sure that it is probably answered within this guide here, but Zach did ask, would you advise to pick a course or a university first?
So from helping students previously when looking at choosing a university, I'd always recommend looking at the course first, because the course is what you're going there to study. So without, you know, wanting to enjoy the course or knowing that you're, you know, you're interested in that course, going into university, no matter how much you want to go to that maybe city or area, if you're not actually enjoying what you're doing every day, you're not probably going to want to be there. So choosing that course first, making sure you're feeling passionate about what it is that you're doing, you know, what it is that you want to go and study, or even just interested in exploring it further, is key. And then you can look at all the different universities that offer that subject and make some decisions around that.
Brilliant. That's very helpful. Thank you. Charlotte has asked, sorry, I'll put my teeth in, what is the best uni ranking website to look at?
Oh, so with uni rankings, it's really difficult. So there are loads of different university ranking kind of websites out there, and lots of different places do it. I would recommend not focusing on university rankings if you can in the first instance. It might be something that can help you narrow down your choices later on. But if you start with university rankings, it means that you might be actually missing out on a great university for you, simply because it's not in like a particular ranking system. You know, university, for example, may be ranked quite highly overall, but actually for your course in particular, it might have a much lower ranking, and it might not actually be the best university for your course. So you might have missed out on something by just going by university rankings. So what I'd recommend doing is really having a look at the universities that are good for your course at first, all different types of university ranking system. So like all the different ones, for example, on all the different websites to do with like newspapers, so the Guardian, the Times, they all have different ones. They all take different kind of considerations into advice when having a look at how to build a picture of the university and where to rank it. You know, have a little look at how the course fares first, and then go on and have a look at the university after that.
Great.
I was just going to add there, Grace, that for university rankings as well, they change every year. So as Grace said, if you just look at the rankings, you could make a decision based on where that university is that year, and that might change up or down at the point of which you actually enter that university. So it's a really, really important to not focus initially on rankings. Make sure that the university is right for you in every other way.
Danny asked, I think it's a very relevant question, really. He says, how can a uni have a different ranking on a different website? Shouldn't they all be the same?
Yeah, it does get quite complicated. It's difficult because all the different ranking systems will be ranking them on different things, I think is the most important thing to consider. So you'll have like kind of your general rankings, which are based on a variety of different things, including kind of how satisfied students are with the course, how well the course runs, so like how many people complete the course overall, you know, the quality of the assessment, all different kinds of things, but they all take into account different sources of information and data. And then you also have different rankings completely if you're looking at things like you know, the teaching assessment framework, a teaching excellence framework, which is the TEF. You might have seen that around, which kind of tells you like how good the teaching is, and then the research excellence framework, which tells you how good the research is. So they're all kind of looking at different things. So that can get really overwhelming, and all these different kind of acronyms and numbers are screaming out at you, and you're just like, I don't actually know what any of this means and which one's right. So that's why we kind of recommend to avoid going straight into rankings as a first instance, and just make sure that you're having a look at lots of different options. And then if rankings is something that you can introduce later on to help you kind of really nitpick between two different universities potentially that you've done loads of research into to make sure they're right for you first, that's where they can be helpful in certain aspects. But I wouldn't go in recommend like really focusing on those.
Okay, great. That's really good advice. Danny said, is virtual as good as an in-person open day?
Well,
I'll let Claire go for that one. Yeah.
What a great question. I think being able to like physically go and look around a university is really important if you can do so. Although universities had to very quickly, offer students a virtual experience over the last couple of years. And it's a really, really good way of actually seeing more universities because you don't necessarily have the travel implications and costs that's involved. So certainly at that early research stage, I'd really advise going to virtual open days. And then maybe as you narrow down your choices, booking actual in-person open days for the ones that you really feel could be the universities for you. So I would say use both. Both are really, really great options. And again, helping you at that initial research stage and then as you narrow down your choices.
And that's something actually that's come out of other sessions throughout the week so far. It's that actually the more that you can have the opportunity to see, and obviously virtually, then the opportunities are far more available. It's even if you're not necessarily thinking that you will go to that university, it's great as a comparison tool, and also to figure out things that you definitely don't or you definitely do like. So yeah, that kind of echoes what we've spoken about quite a lot, actually. Right, Lindsay asked a question, and I'm sure it's on nearly everybody's minds. Where can I get more information on student finance?
Yeah, student finance is a pretty scary thing when you're first looking at it, and finding information can be really challenging. So lots of different websites will offer kind of general information about student finance. We're no different. We have a kind of student finance phone. I'll pop the link in here now for everyone if you'd like to have a little look, where you can just get a little bit more understanding about student finance and how it works. So in terms of asking any questions as well, we also have Student Finance England customer services on site. So you can actually ask the question direct to the Student Finance England team, and they'll be able to support you with any questions that you have. So do feel free to use that feature if you do have any particular questions. But these kind of initial articles that we have here on the student room are really useful for just getting a little bit more of an understanding on what it is and how it works. I think that's the most scary thing, like what actually do these words mean? What is a maintenance loan? What's a tuition fee loan? So these articles will give you a little bit more of an understanding on all the different things that you need to be considering. And then when it comes to actually making your application, when you're applying to university, usually make that or start that in the March of the year that you're applying. So if you're looking at applying in 2023, that would be next March. We actually have some information about how to support you with making that application and how that all works. So lots of information in there to have a look at.
Great stuff, thank you. And Lindsay says thank you for sharing the link, which is brilliant. Interesting question again, Freya. What is the best way to decide between a campus or city university?
Yeah, so that one is a lot of people will be kind of trying to understand which one is right for them, and there's no right or wrong answer really. It is simply a case of going and having a look if you can, and trying to make a decision yourself on how it feels. So quite often a campus university is more of a traditional type of university, if you can think about it in that way. So you know, you're kind of set out from a city or a town, or just on the outskirts of the city of the town, and everything's all in one place. So that means that there's student accommodation all in one place, there's all your teaching buildings, and then all your student services buildings like your library, student union, bar, things like that. It's kind of all in one area. So people think of a campus university as typically like an American style university. Like it's almost like a small little village where everyone is based, and you don't have to go out of that area to do something at university. Everything's there. Whereas in a city university, the buildings are quite literally dotted around the city. So you'll find that you'll end up kind of walking through the city to get to different things. So maybe your accommodation is in one part of the city, and your teaching and is in another part, and then your student union is another part as well. Some people love that aspect of like feeling like they're in the city, especially if you're moving to that city because you like the look of that city. Lots of people do that with kind of the bigger cities like London and Manchester. They love the city and they want to go and study there in particular. So that might actually work out really well for you. If you want to feel more like you're kind of in a student community, campus universities tend to fit more with that kind of need, I guess. So you're kind of all together in one space, and it's very university heavy. Other students are around you all the time. You can go into the city if you want to, but you can come back to your kind of student community on your campus. So yeah, lots of different considerations when having a look at campus and city universities, but we recommend just going and having a little look around, and that's the best option to give you kind of the right feel for the place, and see whether that's right for you.
Wonderful, thank you. That's a really good answer. Lindsay said, do you get more student finance if you go to a university where the cost of living is expensive?
So you get more student finance in London So if you do go to university in London, you get slightly more money to do so. That is in your maintenance loan. So everyone, for your tuition fee loan, all the universities you can receive up to £9,250 for your tuition fee loan. For your maintenance loan, yeah, it would differ as whether you're in London or whether you're outside of London. So yeah, London is expensive, so they do offer you a bit more money, but unfortunately that hasn't kind of extended to other more expensive cities yet.
Okay, great. Now, when we were talking in the presentation around friends and family being involved in decision making, Charmaine put a question in, and I think that it's definitely, we should address it and talk about it. She says our teacher says not to make decisions, so make the decision from family and friends. It should be my choice. What do you think?
So I think the key in this is that when we were talking about kind of asking advice from family and friends, we're asking for advice and not decisions. So getting as many different opinions as possible can be really helpful to help you form your own decisions, especially if you are finding it difficult to kind of think about where to start, where to begin. Asking your friends and family, oh, what subject, do you think I should do out of these? This is quite interesting. Getting opinions can really be helpful, but actually the final decision should definitely be yours. And I think that's what your teacher's getting at there, is that being pressured into doing a different course at university from parents or friends or teachers will mean that you probably won't enjoy that course when you end up at university, and then you might drop out, and that wouldn't be good for anybody. So if you've been pressured into a course, that would mean that that's probably not going to be right for you. But getting opinions and forming those opinions into your overall decision and incorporating them, is really helpful overall, and just gives you a little bit more understanding of yourself and where you think you might end up wanting to go.
Wonderful, thank you, Grace. Just going back to the finance topic, Johnny said, can I get a student loan doing an open university degree?
Yes, you can. So if it's your first degree, you can receive a student loan for going to the Open University. So you can have a little look online. If you just Google kind of student finance for Open University, they'll be able to give you a little bit more information on exactly how this works and what you can apply for. Open University courses can sometimes be part-time as well, and you can apply for student finance in that respect as well. So have a little look online and see what kind of options there are out there for you.
Wonderful, thank you. Now, Ethan asked, and I think that this, to be honest, you would have put some links within the chat to answer this, but I will ask the question out loud. Do you have a list of what I should research when looking at universities?
We do, yes. So actually, last year we made this kind of really helpful tool. It's actually just like a Google Sheets template. I'll pop it in the chat for you now. And it's a great kind of template for if you're starting to research universities and you want to kind of ask yourself some questions about the universities and what actually may be right for you. So if you download that tool, so basically it's just a sheet and you can just make a copy of that sheet and then you can edit it yourself. It'll give you a list of all the different types of things that you should consider when looking at universities, ranging from what the entry requirements are, whether it's got all the clubs and societies that you're interested in, whether it's in the city that you like or whether it's in the countryside, what kind of career prospects are there afterwards, all that kind of stuff. That's all there for you, and it's given you space underneath to kind of add in your own choices and create your own template, so you've got all your research in one place, and that's a really helpful tool to get started with.
Brilliant. Just going back to my question about finance at Open University, I'm taking for granted that everybody knows what the Open University is. Josh has asked what it is. Could you just give Josh a quick explanation of what the Open University is?
Yes, of course. Sorry, I didn't do that earlier. So the Open University is essentially a distance learning course, which is essentially what it says on the tin. You don't go to a university. So there's no particular building that you attend. It's all online learning. So that's what the Open University is.
Great stuff, thank you. Cameron asked, what type of feedback does the personal statement feedback tool give?
So if that's referring to the personal statement feedback that we give on the student room,
yes.
What that is essentially you can submit your personal statement to us for review. We have a team of personal statement reviewers who are all volunteers on site, and they will basically have a look over your personal statement for you. They have either attended university or that are currently at university and gone through the process before, and then have been trained by experts to be able to offer you some advice on how to make your personal statement the best that it can be. They'll also look over it from a grammar perspective as well, so making sure you haven't got any spelling mistakes or grammar mistakes, and then offering some advice on how to structure your personal statement better, especially in terms of kind of content and what content may be more useful. So that's essentially what the personal statement review team do, and you can submit your personal statement at any time. It can be up to about 5 days to receive a response, just when we get really busy during kind of September, October time. But it can be a really useful tool if you just need a double check over everything to make sure that you're on the right track. I'll put a link in the comments as well now.
That was my next question, actually. Somebody had asked for that, so you've kind of read my mind there. Right then, so I think that the Open University has kind of opened up a chain of questions here, because we've got Charmaine who said, do you think there are benefits of doing the learning online?
So there are definite benefits to the Open University. That's kind of why it was set up originally, is because courses were very much based at the university that you went to. So if you wanted to do a course that was really specific, you had to go to that university to be able to be on that course. So the Open University was set up to kind of offer everyone the opportunity to study a degree from home and not necessarily have to go into a university to do that. And people who take Open University courses quite often are trying to fit in that course around other commitments. So quite often mature learners will be looking at Open University courses so they can fit that in around their other commitments. Since the pandemic, however, a lot of universities, whilst not going completely online, are incorporating more virtual elements into their teaching and learning. So you'll find that often you'll be able to do particular lectures online. Maybe you'll have the option to be online or in person. Everything will be recorded now, so you will always have access to lectures after the lecture has taken place, even if it's in person. So if you needed to, for example, do some kind of remote learning, everything would be recorded for you, and there's much easier to get in contact with teachers and lecturers now than it ever has been, simply due to the kind of advances in technology that the pandemic brought us in terms of teaching and learning. So if you want to learn completely remotely, there's definitely the Open University is a really good option. But in terms of kind of benefits to that, I don't think there's anything in particular other than the flexibility that remote learning offers. Then going to university, especially if you're younger and you want to kind of go into university and have that experience, I'd recommend kind of looking at courses that are more in person.
Wonderful, thank you. Amber asked a question around, can you still go to university if you want to, if you don't reach the grades they want/require?
So this is a difficult one. So it's kind of a two-part answer here. So you can apply to universities with your predicted grades and see whether you'd get an offer from them. When you apply, you normally have to have the grades that they are looking for to be considered for a place at that university. So it's not advisable to apply to university, for example, say that you're predicted 3 Bs and they're looking for 3 As. It's not advisable to apply to that university because the likelihood of getting an offer is a lot smaller because lots of people will be applying with kind of higher predicted grades. But when it comes to actually on the day, on your results day, in receiving your grades, if you've applied to a university with, say BBB, you got made an offer, and then on results day you actually got BBC, it's down to that university and up to their discretion as to whether they would like to accept you or not. So some universities can be quite lenient, some universities are not lenient. It all depends on the kind of number of applications they've received that year and how many students achieved the grades that they were expecting. So it's not something that unfortunately we can kind of predict early on. It's very much down to that university on the day as to what kind of space they have available. You might find that some universities will take you, some universities won't. So on the day, it's a case of making sure that you're prepared for all eventualities, making sure that you've kind of got all your options in one place. So, for example, if you miss your grades and you end up in clearing, that you've got some backup options that you might be interested in, so that you're not kind of left in the lurch. And on the student room, we do have loads of support available if you do find yourself in clearing. And you can also sign up to our kind of email and mobile alerts as well to support you with any situations that you might find yourself in and help you try and find some places that are available from our university contacts.
Wonderful, thank you. On that subject, actually, and Cleo was just asking for a bit of clarification. She said if you needed to get 3 Bs and you got A, B, C, would that, as an example, balance itself out?
So it depends on the university again, unfortunately, and whether they accept it as a Ucas point system. So whether they accept it by the kind of a sum of what those different grades mean. So it's very complicated and a bit difficult. If anyone wants to have a look at the Ucas point system, I can send over a link. I don't know them off the top of my head, unfortunately, but you can kind of balance them out. So an A will equal X number of points, a B will equal X number of points. And if they accept Ucas points, so there might be that it balances itself out and that you would meet the entry requirements. However, quite a lot of universities do not use Ucas points and they'll go based on grades. So that will mean that it's up to the university and up to their discretion as to whether they would like to accept you with the grades that you achieve if they aren't the grades that they've asked for. Quite often, if a university really needs a particular grade, they will state that in the offer. So for example, if you've applied for maths, they may say, we want an A and 2 Bs, but your A has to be in maths. And that will mean if you don't achieve the A in maths, then unfortunately you haven't met your offer conditions, even if you got an A in a different subject. So you still had A, B, B overall, but your A wasn't in maths. It would mean that you haven't met those conditions. So that would be up to the university's discretion as to whether they would like to accept you or not.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you. That is a very good and comprehensive and helpful answer. Right then, I'm just going to do a bit of a klaxon. We've got about 15 minutes to go and I've got about 15 questions. So this could work out quite nicely. But I will just kind of motor on. Danny says, does the uni guide have reviews from current students at the different unis?
So the uni guide does have reviews, but I'd recommend going to the student room for kind of up-to-date reviews. So the uni guide has reviews that have been given from a few years, like an overall picture. But the student room has reviews from students as they're actually there or current applicants. Because we're a forum website, that means people can start the topic of conversation about that experience kind of straight away. And it's more of a chat as to chatting to a real person rather than just reading a review and kind of going away with that information without actually talking to that person who wrote a review. You can actually talk to the people who are, on in that course or applying to that course and have a response back from them. That's something that is kind of really sets us apart in terms of making sure that you're getting all the support that you need and talking to the people that you need to talk to. I think this is something that another question was asked. I'm going to put it in the chat now as it's relevant to now, but we have essentially a group chat almost for every university and all the people who are applying to university. So you can actually talk to people who are going through that application cycle with you at the same time, and also current students and university representatives as well. This one is for 2022. We normally make the one for 2023 in July time. So do keep an eye out for that one on the website. We promote it really kind of like widely, so you'll see it around, and you can find and chat to all the different students that are considering or attending the universities that you're interested in. So it's a really useful tool.
There's some great chats in those forums as well between students. It's great to see the conversations that they have, and the support that students can really give each other, like especially in decision making or applying, or when things aren't understood and you just need to talk to somebody that's going through the same thing. So really great place to chat and meet other students in the same boat as you.
Great, brilliant, thank you. Right then, what do we have now? There's a couple of questions around resources on the website. One being accommodation, and do you have any advice for finding accommodation? And do you have any information about taking a gap year on the student room? Is there anywhere online that we can pop some links to the chat into the chat? Oh, yeah, we're doing it already.
Links now. So we've got a really helpful article on choosing and picking the right student accommodation for you that's on the Uni Guide. So I'd really recommend having a look at that as a starting point. If you're a bit unsure about, where it is that you want to go, whether you want to stay in halls or private accommodation, so that one's a really useful one. We then also have a forum where you can discuss with other people about attending a university and the accommodation in the university there, including a kind of find your flatmates forum. So if you know that you've got a particular accommodation, you can find other flatmates if you need to. So you found a house and you need to find 2 other people, you can pop a little advert on there and find some people. So that's a really helpful forum if you want to find out a little bit more information about accommodation. And I will pop the chat about gap years in here as well. There's loads of information on gap years and people talking about their experiences and what they're planning on doing. So really useful.
Brilliant, thank you. I've got a kind of hub of questions around finance in one way or another. Savia said, I don't understand the process of acquiring a scholarship. Can you explain?
So in terms of scholarship, is there anything in particular that you're looking at there? Is it one that's offered by a university, or is it something different? Scholarships are quite a kind of big topic in terms of there's so many different scholarships that you can apply for, and they all have different kind of requirements they'd be looking for from you to apply for a scholarship. So a scholarship is different to a kind of a loan. So student finance is typically split up into maintenance loan and tuition fee loan, and that's where you're taking money out with the kind of premise that you'd be paying it back, whereas a scholarship is offered as kind of essentially free money by the universities for achieving something. So from universities, so like for example, you might have a particular prowess in some kind of sport and meet a particular kind of level of sport, which means that you would want to continue doing that at university for the university teams. So they may offer a scholarship based on that, and that would be down to the university. So I'd check the university website, check their entry requirements for that scholarship or their minimum requirements for that scholarship, and they will have an application form on the university website. So it will be done as like an individual thing rather than a central system like student finances, but all the information should be on their university websites for you.
Brilliant, thank you. Right then, Nikki asked, do the student room offer discounts like some other websites do?
We don't offer discounts, but we do have a student deals forum. So in our student deals forum, lots of other students post about the discounts that they found and help each other out, which is really useful. Again, I'll pop that as a link within the chat, so that if you want to have a look or post a discount that you also know and recommend, then that one is really helpful forum.
And we do try and consolidate them down, those student offers, especially around the time when freshers are starting university. So keep an eye out as well for those articles on our socials as well. We often share different discounts at that key time, because there's like a certain window of discounts available for freshers as well.
Brilliant. Okay. On the subject of this, won't really leading from the scholarships conversation, Danny has posted a question which says, do universities offer some sort of money for students who achieve good grades as well?
So yeah, that would be another different type of scholarship, and that again is completely up to the universities. So scholarships are quite rare. They aren't something that is a usual thing for a student to have, but there are some kind of exceptional circumstances where you may meet their requirements for a particular amount of money, or from your personal circumstances. For example, if you're like the first in your family to attend university, or and have achieved really, really good grades, there might be a certain pot of money for you to have a look at. I really just recommend having a look at the university in particular and their website and their different opportunities on there. It's all very done on an individual basis. So unfortunately, there's no kind of like centralized scholarship application process, but all the universities will have lots of information about the different types that they offer. So yeah, good grades is one of them. But again, it all depends on the university, and not all universities will offer those scholarships.
Okay, thank you. Right then, where are we up to now? Yeah, again, around like the financing of things, Charlotte said, do I need to get a part-time job as well as going to uni to live and to, you know, go out?
So it depends on your own financial circumstances and situation. So there will be a certain amount of money that is offered to you by the student finance according to your own personal circumstances. So it's up to a certain amount. I can't remember the exact amount off the top of my head, and it will differ according to each person. But you basically input all your personal circumstances, and they'll say, well, we think that this is the amount of money that you need for a maintenance loan. So to look after yourself while you're at university. Everyone gets the same amount for a tuition fee loan, up to the full amount, regardless of whether that's something that you could afford to pay up front, or whether you couldn't afford to pay that up front at all. So everyone's entitled to that one. But the maintenance one is done on your own personal circumstances. Quite a lot of people will get a part-time job to help supplement this. Quite often it's enough just to cover the basics, but it may not be enough for you to go out or, you know, go and buy things like clothes and extra kind of social activities if you want to. It's really normal for students to have a part-time job at university. And there's lots of support in finding that from your university. They'll quite often have a career centre which you can go to and get some extra advice and support on how to apply for the part-time jobs in your local area. The universities themselves quite often offer part-time jobs, like student ambassadors, for example, where you can get some extra money for, you know, showing students around your university and supporting them making decisions. So there are so many different opportunities out there for part-time work that fit in with your with your studies as well, which is really important. It's quite difficult for you to be able to do, you know, lots and lots of work and fit your studies in, but there are lots of flexible jobs out there right now.
Okay, that's really helpful. Thank you. We've just got 4 more questions, and 2 are around international study. Or let me just hang on a second. So Freya says, are students from the UK still eligible for the Erasmus scheme?
So this isn't my particular area of expertise, so you'll have to bear with me. The Erasmus scheme is something that we are no longer eligible as students from the UK, but we are offering our own scheme now. I think it's called the Turing scheme. I can't remember off the top of my head. Claire, you might know more than me. Basically, we're going to be offering a similar thing for students who are looking to study internationally, which is specifically based for students in the UK. So if you have a look, we'll see if we can find a link which kind of gives you a little bit more information on the differences between the 2 schemes and what that means. But yeah, there is another scheme out there. It's just different from the Erasmus scheme, so you have to apply through a different situation and means.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I've got a government link here to the Turing scheme that will hopefully give you a little bit of information. So I'll pop that in the chat. But yeah, this is the UK's global programme to study and work abroad. So it is a new scheme specifically for the UK, and it provides an opportunity for UK organisations from HE, further education, vocational education and training in schools to offer their students, learners and pupils life-changing experiences to study or work abroad. So I'll drop that link in the chat.
Wonderful. Thank you, Claire. And just on the subject, within the similar topic, Cara says, do you have any information about applying to uni in a different country? I'm interested in studying in the USA.
So we do have some limited information about applying for university in a different country, but what we do have actually is a really useful forum, which is for people who are looking to study in North America. We do have a few other forums in terms of international study generally. I'll pop the International Study General Forum in here, which is people just looking to apply to universities outside of the UK. But Cara, for you, I'll put up in the one specifically for studying in North America. We have an amazing student who is currently studying in North America. They're one of our volunteers, and they've given some amazing advice on how to apply to universities in North America and how to kind of navigate that system, because it can be really difficult. So do have a little look through all of the kind of sticky threads at the top. They're the ones in orange, and they'll give you loads of really helpful advice.
Brilliant, thank you. And our final question, I think, is almost perfect to end on. So Holly says, can you just run me through the university process and what she means here? She said, so I'll do my research, decide a course, choose a few unis, go to open days and then narrow it down. But what do I do next?
So if you've got a bit of an idea on where you want to go and what you want to do, the next step will be your Ucas application. So that's actually applying to those universities and kind of, saying, I want to go here, this is where I want to go. So to do that, you need to head in over to Ucas and set up an account through the Ucas Hub. There will be lots of help and support from your teachers at school and college to do this, probably more likely towards the end of this year, academic year, sorry, so just before summer, and also in September and October they'll be able to kind of walk you through this process as well. But if you want to have a look at what it looks like and get started on it, you head over to Ucas Hub, you can get set up there. And the next stage from that perspective is then to kind of start adding all your details in. You won't actually be able to submit your application until kind of September time, but what you can do is start kind of filling it out so you feel prepared. The next step then, and probably the most important step, is your personal statement. So getting started on your personal statement as soon as possible, really, just to kind of, have it in your mind. Like having a think about it over the summer is going to be really helpful. Don't panic about having to get it written or, perfect, before you go back to school in September, but just getting it started is really helpful. So, write down some notes, write down some ideas. It should be about 80% about why you want to study that course and 20% about yourself, so your hobbies and your interests. And so start doing some extra reading around your course subject. So you found out that you're interested in history and a particular type of history, that's amazing. Do some extra reading outside of your A-levels and your kind of course content, and find some stuff that you're interested in, make some notes around that. And start building up just a bank of notes that you can start then turning into your personal statement a little bit later on down the line. And the deadline to submit your application will differ dependent on the course and the universities you've applied for. Holly, I've just seen you pop that in the chat very briefly to go over that. So the deadline to apply to Oxford and Cambridge, and also for medicine, dentistry and veterinary courses, will be the 15th of October. And then to apply for all other courses, that will be usually around the end of January, so January 2023. So this year it was the 26th of January, and they'll be releasing the date for that shortly.
Wonderful. Right then, guys, I think that sums it up for the afternoon. What a session. That was brilliant. Thank you. So as always, I'd like to thank everybody that's attended. There've been so many of you that have been here and asked questions, and I hope that we've managed to cover them all for you, and you've got all of the answers to everything that you've asked and you were thinking about. Claire and Grace have been brilliant, not only running through, answering the questions themselves, but all these links that are in here as well have been brilliant. Like I said, the session's been recorded, so it will be sent to everybody, not only who's here, but who's registered as well. So yeah, I can see you all saying, oh, hang on a second. Oh yeah, Ella. So yeah, we'll email it to you. Okay, you'll have the link to the recording email to you. Guys, Claire and Grace, I'd just like to offer you the opportunity to say a bit of a parting statement before we end the session.
Oh,
Claire's always much better at these than me.
No,
I'll just say thank you very much.
Grace is our expert. Thank you so much, Grace, for all of your brilliant answers. I really hope all students found those super useful. I know it's a real minefield when you're thinking about universities and all of the things that you've got to do. So we really hope that this provided you with the information or some thoughts for your future. Do join us on the student room, where you can find out lots more information. And if you head onto the National University's resource section, there's also some links that you'll find there. And we really, really hope to see you on the student room soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good afternoon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.